Welcome to the Tuesday Night's freedomfortargetindividuals.org podcast. I'm your moderator, Ella. You can join us live, which I encourage people to do, every Tuesday and Thursday beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time by calling 515-606-5187, entering the ID 40014 in case you're catching this on YouTube and you'd like to join us. This is a solution, educational, and activism-based podcast, but the views and opinions of my guests and participants are not necessarily my own personal views and opinions. And my goal is that everyone can obtain something out of tonight, especially a feeling of empowerment. And usually during the course of the call, there's always some little pearl for everybody, I hope, because we have so many different people speaking, and the guests always have incredible information. If you are new to the call, please stay on and we will get you some support, some helpful links and websites, and connect you with others. If we don't get to you, you can visit our website, freedomfortargetindividuals.org, or you can email me directly at ffti.org@gmail.com. And, of course, we have a hotline, so if you're in a crisis and you're desperate, you just call us at 503-308-1691. And tonight we do have a very, very special guest. I'm just waiting for him to join us on the call. And also we can share some announcements because I can't believe it, Target Individual Day, the second annual Targeted Individual Day is coming up, and it's so exciting. It's like in a week, a little over a week. And there's been some interesting people joining us. Italy now is having a Target Individual Day, so that's really exciting. Let me get to my other things I wanted to read to you guys. We have a lot of support groups emerging. There's a new one in Ohio. In Ohio, and they're cropping up everywhere. People are taking the chance and having courage and feeling better because of it, and going out and do flyers in your community. And people say, "Oh, what's the point in flyers?" You're educating the public, and it's the public that's going to put a push on law enforcement and the cops, and the government, because if enough people are concerned about this topic, they're going to have to address it. And I know some people are complicit, and there might even be people that are hired, but it's not, in my opinion, across the board. That's just maybe just being sensitized to this. You may think that, but I talk to plenty of people, and I can tell. My instincts are usually good 99% of the time. They're very genuine. Some people join the government, the FBI, because they think they're going to help people out. And the FBI is interested in supporting us. I went to the FBI, and he was all on board. This is before it escalated, but he was all on board trying to assist me. I just went in. Actually, I wasn't even that stable. I was kind of crying because it was affecting me, and I was being too emotional. I wanted to be strong for my kids. But back then it wasn't quite to the level that I experienced after the fact. So there are good people. And I do believe that there's enough good people in the government and good policemen that we can have them assist us. I think it's atrocious that we're not being assisted, but it's still because people are not aware of it. So those rallies, those flyers, all the YouTubes in a professional manner, and I'm not saying you have to be a professional, but just in a way that's understandable and that, clear communication, because people can't hear if you're like ranting and raving, and people in person, when you're behaving that way, it makes them a little fearful, especially if they've never heard about it. So all these things we're doing, we want people to hear about it and not think that there's some issues going on. That this is the modern day. Technology is king. It's a little frustrating to me if they can't understand that. And there are very advanced military weapons that can do these kind of things. And I do believe that these weapons can also be sold on the dark web, and then on the black market. I just think that why not? You can get all kinds of things on the dark web. I mean, it's disgusting, actually. And you can buy things on the black market. So it's not unlikely to me. It makes sense to me that other groups, criminal groups or whoever, are participating in these kind of crimes. So I don't think it's a one-prong thing like this, one button. I just don't think that, because this is a global thing, and it just is. I don't think America's behind the globe, So I just don't think that pointing fingers at one person, one entity is accurate. I don't think they're controlling the globe. So Anyway, so I'm looking for my policeman. Are you here, Chief Jones? I'm looking for you. Just star 6. Star 6. Hopefully he'll be here soon. Just star 6, Chief Jones. If you're on here. He did call me, or he did reach out to me earlier, and I just got the email late, but he didn't say what it was about. He wanted me to call him. I wonder if he has to. Well, we'll just carry on until he joins us. I'll just keep asking for him. And then there's the time difference, too, so he might have gotten that confused possibly. Okay, so some of the things I wanted to talk about is it's time to get ready to come out to Portland, or you can go to Line Stand Targeting and try to find another city that's close to you. But I really want a large turnout for Portland because it looks great on camera, and it shows that we're not just a handful of people talking about it. We're a large group talking about it, and it's very powerful. And, there's local news that's right there on the square where we're going to be at. And I have to say, local news is a lot kinder to target individuals than these cynical, jaded writers who could be paid. I mean, journalists can be paid. That's just a fact. And they're super cynical, and they have to be. That's how they're programmed to be. Local news is a little different. They're covering local topics, and they're hold on one second. Hi. What are you doing here, son? Okay, well, I'm on my call again. My son just showed up, surprising, like he surprised me. Okay, so let's talk about some of these things going on. One thing I wanted to say is, Thursday, there's a dear person. I like her immensely, and I think we like each other. We had different opinions. So we're both passionate people, and I didn't want to come across rude. I felt like I was rude, so I called her afterwards, and, I apologized to her, and we just talked about sex. She's a lovely lady, and we get along. It's just we have different views, and she misunderstood what I was saying. It just happens. Maybe I wasn't communicating clearly enough, and it happens, but I just don't like my tone of voice. I was like, gosh, I wasn't myself. I could have been kinder, but when someone's passionate, another person's passionate, we're trying to make our points, and I do apologize, and we get tired, and, like I said, we all have opinions, but I try to be open-minded, but sometimes I've had a lot of experience. Doing this work, I have a lot of experience dealing with many facets of trying to expose these crimes. So I've kind of learned the hard way. And I don't want other people to go through what I went through, because I went through some pretty bad things, not being cautious, not being careful, not using the correct narrative. I did a lot of the obvious things that had happened to other people. So I don't want everyone to have to go down that road, experience that. And also I want everyone to be believed. And that's all. I mean, I only have the best intentions for people. And as far as, like, people on the call, when I'm having an interview, someone made some comment, like, she was clearly distressed. But that person that was distressed, I can listen for a little bit. They're not going to get the full-on attention. So if I have an interview going, I want them to have full attention. And because I have volunteers, I want them to have that time. I can't talk to them for an hour on here when I'm having an interview. We have a very small time frame, and I think the guests always have something really remarkable to bring. And so it's not always a support call, but it's not that I don't care immensely. I do. I started a hotline. I care very much, and it's expensive and all kinds of things. I had to get a separate line and all this stuff, and I really do care. And anybody who would doubt that maybe just doesn't know how much I really try to support people.
I want to ask you, Ella, if there's any way I can help you, because I have time right now. I'm not working, and I want to do something that can be helpful.
Well, there's a couple of things you can do, and one thing I do need is like more volunteers, some volunteers. And so if that's something you enjoy, let me know. Just email me at ffti.org@gmail.com and just say, that you were on the call and you're interested in volunteering on the phones. A lot of people burn out, but actually the people I have now have been really stable and consistent, and they actually enjoy doing it. It gives them something to do. It gives them a sense of purpose. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes people are nasty to us or accusatory. But, you don't even have to give your real name. And I try to tell people we're not trying to do anything negative. We're just trying to provide a service. And It's just because I care. I know that it would have benefited me, and I know that it would benefit other people because I sure could have used something like that. And so I'm trying to fill those needs.
I was wondering about the rally, if there's something I can do, maybe help make T-shirts or something like that behind the scenes. I'm kind of nervous about helping other TIs at this point.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, T-shirts are great. We don't have a lot of time, but yeah, T-shirts are always a great thing to do. So just send me an email, and
Yeah, tell me your email again. I couldn't understand you.
Well, I'll give you the easy one: tiangel2016@gmail.com.
Yes, I got that one. Okay. What is it again? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I have it.
T is in Tom, Indigo, Angel.
Careful. Yeah. There's a lot of them on the phone.
I think you're unmuted, sir. We can hear you.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, is this Chief Jones? No, I guess not. Chief Jones, just *6, and we can get...
Oh, your number.
Someone's unmuted and they don't realize it. Hold on. I think it's 225.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, yeah, let me mute you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
It's okay, don't worry. Happens. Especially if you're new, they don't really understand. They forget. It takes training. I did the same thing. Okay, Chief Jones, if you're here, just *6. I'll probably be on in 30 minutes or something, maybe the time thing.
Could you tell me again where the rally is?
Well, we're having one in Portland, Oregon, a big one, and there's also going to be some satellite cities. If you go to alliance2endtargeting.org, there's cities listed. Again, we really want to get you out. We want to make an impact with another person. 657, you have. Do me a favor. If you're not talking, please mute yourself. And I might have muted the speaker. Just unmute yourself again. Like I said, sometimes people have noise on their line. So, okay. Hold on just a second, guys. What else? I wanted to announce some other things. Hold on one second. I have to check on my kids for 2 seconds.
Hi, Ella. When is the Portland, Oregon rally?
It's going to be August 29th.
Okay. August 29th. Is
Then
there a venue?
Around noon, 1 o'clock, and go. You're welcome to stay the whole time. Hold on one second. I'm going to mute myself and just talk to my kiddo. What you doing? Sorry, guys. Had to chat with my kiddos. Okay. All my kiddos are around. So even the ones that moved out, they come back. You know how it is. They're all so excited to move out, and then they realize it's a little harder than they expected. Okay.
I want to say one more thing. I'm sorry. Anybody on the line that wants to go to the Portland, Oregon rally, and they're coming from Orange County, California, please let me know because I really want to go. I need a ride. And I don't know if people drive there. I'm new to California. I'm from New England, but I really want to go so bad, and I don't have any money there.
You need a little extra money for gas. Like I said, I'll give you. I've allotted $25 for a dozen people if you need some gas money. And when you get out there, I'm going to have food and sandwiches and a nice lady paid. I wanted to have coffee for everybody, and so.
I don't have a car.
No, I realize that. But if someone's going to drive with you, I can offer them some money because I know a lot of people.
Wow. Thank you, because I'm struggling with money so bad. I just want to go to this so much.
Okay, no problem. And there's a lot of people who have hotel rooms to share. A lot of people got individual hotel rooms, and I wish my husband would let me bring everybody over and we could just have 20 people sleep here, but he's not down with that.
How can I get somebody to help me? Do you know how I can go about that?
To go for a drive, to be picked up?
Yeah.
Hi, Sue. Sue in the chat. I would just announce it, and I can say, email me at tiangel2016@gmail. Say hi and remind me. And then if someone's listening who doesn't want to speak, just email me and say, hey, I want to give that lady a ride. So it's tiangel2016@gmail, and then I can connect you too.
And you know who I am?
Just say you were on the call looking for a ride, and I'll know.
Okay.
Okay. So, again, I'm looking for Chief Jones. Are you on the call yet? Let's see. Chief Jones, we're looking for you. I hope he didn't have to. I hope that's not why he emailed me to change it. Well, if he's not here tonight, I'm sure he'll be on Thursday. He's a great guy. He's so well-spoken, and he's very intelligent about what's going on with target individuals. And he's trying to, talk to other police chiefs and other police departments to let him be, so they can be aware of it. Because I remember he told me, we had a long discussion, he told me, like, he had talked to another policeman about this. Because, you ever heard about this? And the policeman said, yeah, I have. He goes, why didn't anyone tell me? And he goes, well, it's not something we talk about that much. I was like, that needs to be talked about. And so he has some ideas, and he's been very helpful to other target individuals. And we'll just wait for you here. He might show up at 7, I have a feeling. So, yeah, just because of the time difference. I sent him I thought I told him it was Pacific Standard Time, but we'll see. So what other things did I want to read to you? Hey, Kaylee, I need you to come downstairs. Sorry, I thought it was muted. I always unmute and mute. Missy. Okay, so some of the other things I wanted to share with you is all these groups. So there's one in Ohio now, and you can email me, and I'll put you in contact with the person. Let's see, Targeted Colorado. Okay, so I know some people are going to City Council to, this is Constance, let's see here. There's a lot going on with the 5G opposition. So I believe it is in Colorado. People are going to the city council as to create opposition, to discuss their concerns about 5G. And so, hold on one second. What's up, hon? Okay, it's going to be really noisy. Okay. Cooking's not quiet. Okay, so then we have, let's see, Targeted Nevada. Let's see what's going on with them. Okay, so if you live in Nevada, there's also a group, and you can go to Twitter and then look up /Nevada Targeted. So it's twitter.com/Nevada Targeted, and you can just say, hey, I want to come to the meetings and be involved with that. We have this great woman, Heather, down in California. She's really trying to spearhead these support groups and help people out. And we're just trying to motivate people to do that because you're going to be a lot happier. And you just have to remember to give people a chance. I've done it, and I can't say that has ever really happened. I've had some mean people, but, yeah, there's some meanies, but it's okay. I forgive them because of what they're going through. Let's see, and I can be a little cranky too. So anyway, so then let me go to something else I wanted to read. Hold on one second, guys.
Hello, this is Cheryl. I'm announcing myself. Hello, everybody.
Who's this?
This is Cheryl.
Hello, go ahead,
everybody.
Cheryl. Hi.
Hi.
Okay. I was just going to share some more information here. I wanted to share... Let's see here. Just going to take a second to boot. So I get interesting emails, and I'm on the ball and staying on top of my emails a little bit better. Sorry if I waited a week. It's just I've been so busy with all this stuff. So just all with the TI Day rally events, the hotline, my family, everything else. Okay, I'm trying to step up my game as a mother. Okay. There is a great blog by Tina Plaffinger, and she's amazing. She's a Christian, but she has, some people I know don't like that, but she has the most wonderful book. She's an amazing writer, and I really want people to check it out. Let's see if they sent me the link. It's inspiring, so inspiring. Let's see where we are here. Okay, so you just go to, I'll put these links below in the video as well. So it's Plaffinger.com/blog. Let me spell it for you. So it's Tina, Tina, P as in Paul, L as in Apple, L as in love, A as in apple, K as in king, I as in indigo, N as in Nancy, G as in giraffe, E as in Edward, and R as in Ralph.com/blog. I mean, she's so inspiring to me. She's like a bodybuilder. She's this amazing woman, and I hope one day to have her on a call. Let's see. I'm going to do a double check here. Chief Jones, are you here? Just *6. Chief Jones. Hope he makes it. He's amazing. And I love that retired chief police is very interested in this topic and is trying to assist us. Okay. So that's the one of them I wanted to share. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, so Cleveland meetings, I covered that. Okay, so in Italy, they're also added to the list, and it's very exciting. Let's see if I have a contact person here. Oh, it's so small. Well, it's in Italian. But what I'll do is I'll put it in the link, put some links below the YouTube. But I'm just very excited that they are deciding to participate. I know Australia is probably going to come together. It's such a big country like our own, so they're probably going to have one on each coast. Okay, I got that covered. And then I wanted to read you. I've got some more shielding information from the EMF specialist. So if you would like that, feel free to email me at tiangel2016@gmail. This is the guy, again, who's a specialist. I've had him on my show, on this call. So if you want that, you just email me, and I'll copy and paste it into your the body of your email. I can't guarantee all of it, and like I said, what works for some people doesn't work for others, but I'm giving you everything I have. I don't recommend really expensive things, like I said, because if something's expensive and it works, I would have heard about it. I just haven't heard anybody say they've had success long term. Okay, what other ones?
South Korea is having an event too.
Okay, so then South Korea is also going to be having an event. So I know we have a lot of Koreans listening. Actually, you'd be surprised. I hope I say it right. Seoul, South Korea. Shayla just wanted to share that, and Shayla is my sister in activism. She has surveillancesurvivors.org as well as Alliance Stand Targeting. We're all on the board together. So Chief Jones, if you're there, again, just *6. Let me search his number. I'll let you know, honey. Okay. Okay.
Hi, I'm Hope. I just wanted to announce myself. Excuse me. I'm sorry to cut in. I'm Hope. I just wanted to announce myself.
Hi, Hope. Paul.
Hi.
And so Austin will be having an event as well. Just go to Alliance and Targeting and .org, and you'll be able to find an email. There's some issues with maybe some things on Alliance and Targeting, but I'm sure she got it all worked out. Hey, who else? So at this point, we can chat while we wait for Chief Jones. So again, *6 if you want to talk about the rally, if you want to connect with somebody. The weather's supposed to be nice, and it's probably going to be cool too, probably like 78 around there. So anybody who's hot, you need a little break from Arizona or whatever, you're welcome to come up. Not that I'm trying to dissuade you from an Arizona event, but anybody who's in a hot area like that, you're welcome to come to Portland. And you can also, if you're going to come, if you could sign up at portlandpirally@gmail.com and just let us know you're coming so we can get a proper head count. And I got all that.
Can I announce myself?
I'm sorry?
Hello. I've never done one of these things before. My name is Lori. I'm calling from Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, hi there.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me? Am I on mute?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Well, welcome to the call, and we're basically waiting for our guest. He's a retired police chief, and he should be here soon. We're hoping.
Oh, good.
I think like I said, I think he's going to be here at 7 o'clock.
Okay, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to mention one thing that I didn't see Cleveland, Ohio listed anywhere, but I have organized something for the city of Cleveland, Ohio, for those that cannot make it to New York and Chicago. We will be meeting at noon at the Free Stamp in downtown Cleveland, just to put that out there, noon on August 29th.
Okay. Thank you very much, because I do have a lot of people, or a good amount, I should say, in Ohio and the Cleveland area, and then, of course, on the outskirts as well. Thank you for doing
gang stalking's a problem here.
Yeah, it seems to be. Okay. Anybody else?
Sorry, Ella, where did she say it was at? They were meeting in Cleveland, Ohio, where?
12 o'clock noon at, go ahead.
The Free Stamp. It's called the Free Stamp downtown Cleveland.
Can you spell it? Like, just spell it out? Because sometimes over a phone you lose certain letters or they become confused. So just say, like F as in Frank. Or...
Yes, F as in Frank, R as in Run. I tried to put these two together. E as in Elephant, E as in Elephant, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, A as in Apple, M as in Mary, P as in Paul.
Free Stamp.
Yes.
What is that exactly?
It's downtown Cleveland, Ohio, yes.
Downtown. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Is there a way to reach you, Lori?
Yes, there is. I can give you my email address.
Okay.
Okay, it's all lowercase now. Now I'm just starting this grassroots kind of a effort right now for the Cleveland area because there's a need for it. So some things are going to be kind of informal here. So my email address is all lowercase now. It's KITTYMOMMY777
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, guys. What else can we discuss before he comes? I do want to give a shout-out to Amy Dale. She's been helping us and really worked closely with us here in Portland to create this event and to make it happen, and she's just been very reliable, and I appreciate it. So thank you, and thanks to Tobin. He's going to be helping us as well, and Lisa in Southern Oregon. And we just have all these great people. And then we have some people coming from Sacramento. A shout-out to Michelle and Kendra and all the people that are coming up. I look forward to meeting them as well. Part of the fun for me is I get to meet people in person, so I'm excited about that. Okay, so Chief Jones, if you're here, just star 6. Hope he comes today. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give him a call, so I'm going to put myself on mute. Feel free to speak amongst each other or with each other. Hold on.
Hi, for the caller from Cleveland, I live in Dayton, Kettering, Ohio, and if you could get on the chat and put your email there, I'm a TI in Ohio.
Sure thing. How about I just give you my email, and then you could just go from there. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. Yes. How about I just give you my email, then you can take it from there.
Okay, hold on. Let me get a pen.
Sure thing.
Is there anyone from Michigan listening?
There usually are. Not everybody will speak up, but I know of a good handful of people from Michigan. Would you like to be contacted? Would you want to be connected to them? Because I can send you a list of people that are available.
Yes, I am. I am from Michigan. I was just muted. I was talking and thinking I was unmuted. Yes, I'm from Michigan.
I don't have any
I'm Hope.
get a hold of me through email right now. Ella, my phone is broken. I don't have a computer. I'm kind of just...
Yeah, your phone does sound broken, so you don't have a computer. What about the library?
I can go to the library.
Okay, so yeah, just send me an email or text me, text the hotline, which is the 503-308-1691, and then just I'll get you the contacts. But, the library is actually pretty user-friendly, and they're pretty good about letting people get on the computer. And I know a lot of TIs that do that, so they can stay connected and see videos and the various things.
Yeah. I'm pretty much monitored everywhere I go, so I just don't know if anyone else has this feeling of, jeopardizing others. I
understand that concern, but it's not your fault.
I don't want the heat to get any worse than it already is for anybody.
But you also should look out for yourself, and I think you'll do well by staying connected and just listening to various podcasts and ways to protect yourself. And you know what I used to say, and I forgot about this, is if you feel like someone's stalking you, there's nothing wrong. If you have a couple flyers on you, and we're doing business cards too if you just want to give them a business card, it's a good opportunity to educate them, because even if they're just a civilian, you can turn around and give it to them to educate them, or you can maybe hand it to whoever you suspect is involved, because they may not know what they're doing. It's just something that's been recommended, and I thought that was a brilliant idea.
How do I go about getting those cards?
They're going to be put up on the website hopefully this weekend, and then you can PayPal me the money, whatever you want to do. It says the price on Vista, and then I'll just go in and put your address and send them to you, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Okay. It sounds confusing, but that's the best you could do, because I want people to have access to it, and I don't mind doing the work of changing address and stuff so you can get it, or P.O. box, whatever makes you comfortable.
Okay.
Okay, so I hope Chief Jones shows up. It's almost 7. So. Okay.
Hello?
Yes?
Hello?
Hi.
I just had the privilege of watching a YouTube video with Chief Damon Jones, and he had a lot of great information.
Yeah, he's supposed to be my guest tonight.
Oh, that's great. I'd really like to get his email or something so I could, message him or send him an email.
Yeah, he's really a great person.
I don't have his email. But I just saw him, and he had a very interesting video I just saw yesterday.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to ask different questions. I like to uncover different information so it's fresh. And, I looked at a couple of them, and I have my own questions. And plus a lot of questions just arise as someone's speaking. And anybody who knows me is I'm not afraid to ask these questions or questions that might be uncomfortable, just because I think it's important to share that information.
Yeah.
And sometimes, stuff that should be shared.
Yeah.
Hi, Alex. Tammy.
Is anybody going to Sacramento rally? Sacramento? I'm in Vacaville, California.
Well, I know there's going to be one in Sacramento, so just go to AllianceDenTargeting.org, and there'll be an email or a contact for Justin, who is a really wonderful person who will be holding that event, I believe. There's probably other people, so I apologize for forgetting to include anyone.
Hi, Alex. Tammy. Do you know if there's going to be anything, excuse my voice, it's still not good, anything close to South Carolina? I haven't gotten back with Amy, because nobody don't seem to want to participate in South Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know about South Carolina. I don't think so. But, there's no harm in going out by yourself. Hold up a little sign, take a picture if you're interested.
Well, I'm still on court-ordered where they cut me last year. And it won't, actually, it's like 2 or 3 days after that I'll be out that court order. But, the cops are constantly following me. It's like, I'm not really afraid of any of them. I just don't want to be put away again.
Understand.
If I could get somebody, to help me, and I talked to Amy, and I really need to call her, but some of the people that I have spoken with that are about 3-4 hours away, nobody really wants to participate. They really don't even want to talk.
Oh, Sheila just Shayla just texted me, and she said there is one close to you, and it is, let me get to her text. Let's see here.
I bet it's Christine. Is it Christine?
It's in Spartanburg.
I'm about 5.5 hours.
Well, get in your car.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them around me. She did give me the list, but everybody is 4 and 5 hours. I mean, nobody wants to travel, do a meetup place. And Amy, I think she may have talked to some of them, and I don't think she had any luck either. But like I said, I have not gotten back in touch with Amy. I was going to try to help her and see what I could do, because I'm willing to put myself out there, if I've got somebody with me, because if I go out there by myself, I know they'll put me, they'll get me. They'll find something. But if I've probably got, 2 or 3 people, usually they won't bother you, because that's, I guess, like witnesses. But if anybody can think of somebody that might would want to try, I will give them my number or whatever,
Jones, hold on 1 second. Let me take the call. I'll be right back.
Hi, Cleveland.
Hello, does the person that wanted my email address for Cleveland, are they still there?
Yeah, I'm here. It's Marilyn. How are you?
Okay, good. How are you? My name is Lori.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, this is happening to somebody else in Cleveland. I know I couldn't be the only one in Cleveland, considering that the Northeast Ohio region, this whole Northeast Ohio area is 36% gang stalking in the whole nation. So I know
I'm in Dayton, Ohio. I'm in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, that counts in that 36%, unfortunately. When I found that out, and I know it wasn't just me, I'm glad I can talk to somebody else that has this problem. Yeah. So anyway. Were you ready for the email address?
Yes, please.
Sure thing. Okay, now this is all lowercase. I'm just getting these things off the ground. I should have done this last year because we also had nothing here last year as well. But now this year we will. Okay, it's all lowercase. K as in kitten. I as in I. T as in Tom. T as in Tom. Y as in yellow. M as in Mary, O as in I don't know. O, okay. M as in Mary, M as in Mary. Y as in yell. 777@gmail.com. There you go.
Okay, let me read it back to you. Kitty, Mommy, 777.
Yep, you got it.
Okay. All right. So I've been a TI I stopped counting the years. It's almost 20 years, I think. Yeah.
Kind of sounds like me. I've been a TI, I think, all my life. I just realized it in 2017. I just had a name to put to what I was going through. I actually had a name that they...
Sorry to interrupt, guys. Again, I hate interrupting. But Chief Jones is here now. He's just calling in. Are you there? Oh, I thought that was Sam. He's calling in. Just talked to him on my cell phone, so he is calling in. So he made it. And we're probably going to break up the interview into 2. We're going to do an hour tonight and then maybe an hour on Thursday. We're just waiting.
Sounds good.
He'll be here in just second. That's exciting. I'm glad he made it. I know a lot of people would like to listen. Don't hang up. You're about to hear Chief Jones. I saw 2 people leave.
I want to hear it. I had never heard him say.
Yeah, good.
I'm excited about it.
Okay, let's see. Maybe I can plug him in. He's just calling in. Oh, there he is. All right. Okay. Hi, Chief Jones.
Yeah.
Hi there, sir.
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, well, you got to excuse me just a little bit because I don't know why. I guess because my son, he's autistic, and I've been going through a lot the last few days with him. And I got my dates messed up, and I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was fixing to go to bed.
Oh,
and
well, short. Like I said, we'll keep it short.
Yeah, it's okay. That's my fault. I should have kept up better.
No, it's no worries. We're just grateful to have you. I'm going to go ahead and mute the room, and we'll start our interview. Hello there, sir. Okay. So we will proceed with the interview, and I have your bio. It's from your perspective, of course. So when I read, I'm talking about him. So he is a 40-year law enforcement veteran, and he started as a police cadet at the age of 14 in 1978. I'll just read again how he wrote it. I work law enforcement in 5 states, being Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama. I'm an ordained minister, and I serve as the pastor of the Sovereign Church of Jesus. I retired as the chief of police in 2 cities in Florida. I also had a line of duty disability as a deputy sheriff and now medically retired from there. I retired last year as the chief deputy constable in Coffee County, Alabama. I was an ROTC cadet for 4 years and left there as a cadet major. During all of these experiences, I have come in contact with numerous ABC agencies as well as agencies that apparently have no name. I had my own encounter as well as my chief of police with the Men in Black. I have seen and visited FEMA camps out west in West Texas and in South Louisiana some years back. I do constitutional audits on my YouTube channel, DCJ, that's Dog, Cat, Jacket News Media. I also work with various other auditors. So, again, thank you so much for coming. Is there anything you want to add to your bio?
No, that's it in the lump sum.
Okay, so you've been interested in being a police officer for many years, since you were 14, I imagine. And why did you get involved, and what made you, what was the desire, where did that stem from wanting to become a police officer?
Well, my dad had been in the Marine Corps, and when he come out, he worked for the Texas Highway Patrol, and he left there and went to work for the Dallas Police. And back in those days, in the 50s and 60s, they didn't pay that great for police, so he went in the grocery business, which didn't pay great, but you could work all the overtime your body could stand. So, seeing my dad in uniforms and listening to the way he talked was a big inspiration to me. And then when I was in the 2nd grade, the local police come down, and all the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th graders, we assembled outside because they had like a crime fighter type thing like McGruff, but I don't think it was McGruff back then, it was something else. And so the policeman showed us his car, talked about what all he wore on his duty belt and what he felt like his job was and so forth. And so between those sort of things, I was really excited. And then when I started the 9th grade in high school, there was a book called Police Explorers, Police Cadets. And I had finished my English class early, so I took the book, I looked at it, and it talked about programs, and I put the book back, and I called the Dallas Police Department, talked to the desk sergeant. He said, "Oh, yeah, So he had the corporal advisor for the program there to call me. so I went down and did an application, and I was accepted into the program. Now, that's a branch of the Boy Scouts of America, the Exploring Division, but you wore a uniform. It was different than theirs, and you carried everything they carried except a gun. And so you would ride along, and you would be like learning, a junior cadet. But in the case of maybe about 3 of us, we were pretty big, pretty tall for our ages, and looked older than we was. And so they kind of took to us, especially me and one more guy, and we were actually writing out citations and then sign their name to it. We were filling out police reports and then sign their name to it. And in my case, I wouldn't have told this years ago, but practically everybody I worked with, except for a few, is all retired. But when we'd go out on Friday and Saturday nights, all of them had at least two spare guns in the car loaded up. And they would always give me one and tell me put it in my waist belt. They said, if our life is on the line, we'll have to figure out how to explain that after the fact, but right now we got to live. And you're a good shot. You know what you're doing. You're squared away. So, in my mind, here I am 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, they really give me a gun. And I'm doing everything they do. I'm driving the car. I'm stopping people. We're making arrests. We're doing all these things. And so I just never got out. I just went from that into reserve law enforcement for less than 3 weeks. Then I went full-time and become a chief of police pretty quick. And I just never got out.
Okay. And during that time, did you still have this idealistic view of being a police officer? Or how long before, because I know this is true, this became a fact later on, how long before your idealism started to crack while working as a police officer?
Well, let's put it this way. The whole time I was a police cadet, I was looking up to the police officers I worked with. And I would especially work with two. I worked with several, and I even worked in different divisions, which they really didn't allow, but I always got it approved. I worked accident investigation. I worked BICE units. I worked central, northeast substation, southeast substation, so I got around. But the main two guys, one of them had been in since the late 50s, and one of them had been in since the mid-60s, prior to Miranda versus Arizona, and they said, look, you treat people like you want to be treated, treat them like your family, don't do anybody wrong. Now, if somebody goes quick, we got to speed up and go quick too, but let's try and get along and understand human error. So I was taught right from the beginning, and my daddy had taught me right, so I'm still in an ideal stage and being molded and crafted. Now, I've seen some officers do things, and I would think to myself, I don't think that's right. Maybe they're not breaking the law, but they're just not being fair about it. And almost always I get back in the car with my trainer partner, and they'd say, Jones, you know that officer didn't handle that right, don't you? Yeah. I just don't want you thinking that's the way it's supposed to be, because that's wrong. Said every group's got a bad apple, and of course we got 2,500 uniform officers. We're bound to have a couple hundred bad apples in the bunch. Don't you ever become like that. Don't disappoint me. And so I felt like the ones I was really working with was doing good. Just like they had a guy called Choke Out Joe, and he was known for using what they call a carotid arm restraint, which would cause people to pass out. And so some people had died from that, so the city of Dallas made a policy you couldn't do that, you had to modify it. But he had been trained and he kept doing it like that. And one guy almost died. And he said, see, I know how we were trained, but they said that's wrong, and he shouldn't have done that. That's one of the episodes I'm talking about. So that kind of dismayed me, because I said, why are the officers that work with him, why are they not talking to his supervisor and reporting this? They said, well, it's kind of like a family member. And I said, well, tell me what that means. He said, well, maybe your brother or your sister does something that's, they're not criminal, but they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. Do you just run tattletale on them, or do you try and talk to your brother or sister and get them to do different? Well, I'd probably talk to them first. Right. So some of us guys have been taking him aside, talking to him, trying to get him straight. Now, if he keeps on, then we're going to have to go there. We ain't got no choice. So I didn't have a necessarily really bad taste, but it wasn't good either. And then when I got into law enforcement full-time, I still had a lot of my idealism, but I was coming more into reality. And I've seen police officers do many things that, of course, I'm a moral man on top of everything else. So some things they did, they would say, well, that's how men are. But I'd say not in uniform and a badge, and you're supposed to be a cut above. So I would see things that would really, really upset me. And I would go to supervisors, unlike the others. So it started to come apart. So it's kind of like a little roller coaster over the years. I've seen things go really, really good, and then I've seen them go really, really bad. And I would guess, from the mid-'80s, I started seeing things that I questioned. People I would take aside and say, why are you doing it this way? And they'd say, well, either you're with us or against us. I said, no, there ain't no with us or against us. I'm telling you, you're on a borderline, and if you cross it, I ain't lying for you, and they don't have to come find me. I'll go talk. You're putting my life at risk, citizens' life at risk, other officers. So I got to say I've seen far more good than bad, but I did see it. I hope that answers the question.
Okay. And then, I don't know, I want to jump into the targeting topic, but I do have another question. I'm just curious, before we get onto that topic, how has being a police officer changed since you first joined the force? Because I saw a big change after the Rodney King episode or the issue that happened down in Los Angeles. I saw a change. I mean, and also now with YouTube and all these video cameras, I imagine they can't get away with much anymore. I mean, I've heard nightmare stories, and I actually lived in Texas, and I heard things. And, I understand that they just assumed, they were frightened of an African American or a black man, and the way they treated him wasn't always the best. And also just how you treat like a potential perpetrator in general. Has that changed? So I'm just curious, because I know it's changed, but I want to hear it from your perspective.
Well, sure. Let me see this. The very first call I went out on in uniform as a police cadet in Dallas, there was a guy, and we got a call about a guy being passed out or dead in front of an apartment complex right next to a major road. So we get a Code 3 authorization, lights and sirens. So we're rolling down the road in a 30-mile-an-hour zone at 90 miles an hour, headed there to render first aid. We're there a lot of times before the ambulance. So we're hauling. So we get there, turn off the siren, lights rolling, my heart's beating out of nothing. I'm excited and terrified all in one time. We get there, and the officer, is trying to talk to the guy and take a pulse, and he can't really get one. Then he does on his neck, and he said he's got a pulse. He's He's passed out when he smelled alcohol, so he's passed out from drinking. So they had these ammonia capsules. And so he'd break it in half, and he'd run it under the nose, and the guy come around, and he said, hey, he said, where are you from? You know, and you know where you're at? So he treated him real good and real decent, and we took him down to the drunk tank. Now, he says now because of what he did or he did it, he said we could arrest him for disorderly conduct, but that doesn't do nothing but, you know, charge the man money for a behavioral issue, and we're going to take him down there. He'll stay on there 4 hours, and they'll give him some coffee, and they'll give him a place to sleep it off and make sure he's good, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, when we leave there, I'm kind of gung-ho, and I'm trying to, well, why didn't we put him in jail for disorderly conduct? He said, wait a minute, motor scooter. He said, you better slow down. Take it easy. He said, our job ain't to harass people or hinder people. The H in our job is for help, not hinder or harass. And I said, well, I didn't think that would be harassment. I thought he broke the law. And he said, well, he said, if we wanted to put anybody in jail, it'd only take about 5 minutes. He said, we just follow them around and they'd violate some kind of law. He said, that's not our job. Our job is to keep the peace of tranquility. We're peace officers. He said, don't you ever forget it. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I don't want to make you mad. He said, no, you just got to treat people good. He said, some won't let you. And he said, I'm going to tell you something else you might see an officer do. He said, officers actually stuck this ammonia capsule up one side of their nose. He said, you could cause them to have a heart attack or a stroke. He said, it could be a lot of implications. Maybe they got asthma, and you literally kill them by what you're doing. He said, some officers think it's funny. He said, I don't think it's funny. I've helped get rid of some officers that did that. He said, I don't know what was wrong with them, but they did it. And he said, I'm telling you, if I ever catch you doing it, I'll beat your tail end. He said, no matter what. I said, I wouldn't do that. He said, I know, I'm just saying it. So they were pretty thoughtful, pretty careful, and I'd say 95% of the officers was happy or jovial or whatever, you know. I mean, they were pretty good, and it stayed that way, and in the late 80s, I started seeing changes. And when Bill Clinton took office, he started militarizing police, giving jeeps, tanks, flight vests, armored cars, all sort of things. But you had a lot of federal strings attached to it. You know, so although people do have some personal computers then, they were small and, you know, they hadn't really come of age. But he was trying to get out programs to cross-reference things and get reports back to them. And I said, he's trying to militarize us, you know, like we're little militia groups or can be conscripted into FEMA or something in time of emergency. And so I started seeing it change, but it wasn't real fast. But by the late 90s, almost all the little agencies around that have a tank or jeeps, they just had a whole bunch of different things in police and started to change the way they're thinking, like instead of peace officers, were law enforcement officers. And I started to see a mindset change. So the guys like me that had been around a while started telling younger officers, hey, you know, no, this is wrong, and you don't need to be bringing all this excess personal equipment to work. Like, you got 6 sets of handcuffs. Why do you need 6 sets of handcuffs? Why do you got a baton that's longer than necessary? Why are you trying to use a reinforced steel baton versus a wooden baton? you're 10 times more likely to break somebody's bones or hurt them with that versus a wooden baton it will give. You know, so we were like the old guard trying to tell people we're peace officers. Get that in your head. We're to keep the peace and tranquility, but I started seeing it change. The day before 9/11, I was at Tallahassee Airport. I tell this story all the time, and it was just easy come, easy go, easy peasy, nothing to it. The day after, they had active duty military at the airport. They had some tanks up there, and these are full-time, not National Guard, full-time military soldiers in fully automatic weapons, and they were running through there like an occupied territory. And from that day forward, things that law enforcement had never done seemed to either be okay or they could get away with it, one way or the other. And I steered away from it, and, you know, some stared into it and went that way, and some didn't. And I said, you know, our badge is a badge of public trust. The public trust us through their elected representatives, and we're appointed to carry these jobs out, or we're elected to carry these jobs out. And that's to keep the peace and tranquility of the community through fair and honest enforcement of the law, and give benefit of the doubt to people. You know, we don't have to be this way. So I've seen a change start in the early 90s. It got more serious in the late 90s. And in 2001, it just has been off the hook ever since then. And every time some kind of new technology come down, chiefs of police and upper staff were chomping at the bit to get it. You know, it's just like toys for big boys. They just had to have it. And they would write grants, and they'd just do anything to get this new technology, and it just seemed to get worse and worse. So, you know, it was I'd say around 96, 97 was a big turning year, a really big turning year. And in 9/11 the next day, it turned, it ain't quit. And it just doesn't look like anything I recognize anymore for the most part.
Okay, what about the brutality? That's something, again, it's something I just want to touch upon before we move forward. Do you think that has decreased since cameras are now mounted on police cars and people are using their phone cameras to record events like arrests and different scenarios such as that? What do you think about that? What's your opinion?
Well, I would say it depends on if you're in metropolitan cities or you're out in the country, what states you're in. Put it this way. New Jersey, prior to 9/11 and after, I don't see no difference. The police there always seemed jacked up and militant, and they were looking for a place to happen. And it was just real bad there. The Northeast Coast in general was bad. Around Southern California was bad. It's just as bad or worse. Now, with saying that, you know, there's a sheriff's office, for example, in Oklahoma. They got the first camcorder in no car. They don't have zero body cams. They don't have cameras at the jail. They don't have it at the police department. They ain't got them nowhere. So if there's any video, it's somebody taking video of them. So now put it this way. Just today, near where my parents live, somebody got shot, and the police were going house to house asking what they call canvassing for any witnesses. Well, every house that had a Ring doorbell or a video system, they was asking them if their video system was on, and they need to get copies of their video, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, technology in some ways it's changed things, and in other ways, bad cops find out where the hidden place is or how to turn things off, or they used to have in the back of police cars, there was what we used to refer to it as a black box. Only a sergeant had a key to that box. And so it was turned off at the beginning of your shift. It was turned off at the end. He took the black box and downloaded whatever was in there, and then it went straight up to the administrative computer system. So good, bad, or indifferent, if you was joking, laughing, telling stupid stuff in the car, everything was recorded from the beginning of your shift to the end. And that's how it was. Well, some officers got in trouble, and like one officer, for example, in one place, he said, well, shoot, he said, my part-time job's locksmith. So he figured out how to make keys to these things, and so people was paying him like $100, and he was getting keys to these black boxes, and they was figuring out how to edit out part of the tape and make it look like the system was just crashed for a second and it picked back up somewhere. So then at some point, some agencies got Wi-Fi systems. There was no way to get around it. So it would go directly to the tower and go to the headquarters, and it was being downloaded in almost real time. I mean, there was probably a 3 or 4 second delay. It went there. Some people didn't invest in that, some did. So if a police officer stops somebody and they're recording, they're aware of live video, and they sometimes will get scared or concerned, and they'll walk themselves back or be careful how they say things and do. So it does slow it down, and it does change the atmosphere a lot of times. Now, sometimes that'll cause an officer to trigger, because in reality, until last year, every time I'd stop somebody, I never, ever, ever remember anybody ever pulling out a camera to videotape. Now, that don't mean they didn't have video equipment within their car that was hidden cameras and hidden microphones. But nobody just pulled one out on me and said, I'm going to record you. You know, of course, I'm not a jerk, but I never had it happen. And I'd ask other officers, and maybe one or two, and in the entire year said, yeah, somebody said, I'm videotaping my encounter with you. So it was still like 1% or less. Mm-hmm. So you think about how many police, sheriffs, constables, marshals, different state police around the whole country, and how many stops they make a day. And you may see several things on YouTube or other social media, but, you know, that's only 5% probably of all these stops. So it still isn't that big a thing, believe it or not. It just appears because you got so many people that do it regularly and get pulled over a lot, so you got only a certain number of people in certain geographic areas that's happening in overall. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. Well, I would imagine if they're getting pulled over, there's this automatic normal reflex to a cop, and even me, I'm really law-abiding. You still get anxious and nervous, and you don't want to threaten a cop because you are the one with you're the one with the badge. You have you can write them a ticket, so I'm sure that plays into it. And they don't want to create any tension between the police officer and themselves. I have a feeling that plays into it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And then, okay, so let's move forward now to the question I'm sure most people would like to know or hear is, when did you first become familiar with targeted people and targeted individuals, and I'm just very curious about that, and I know everyone listening is if they haven't heard your videos before. So can you explain that? Can you go into detail around that occurrence and that event?
Okay, well, now from 78, I've heard things like a focal target, our target, and that was nomenclature for people that was being investigated for crimes or, connection to crimes. Or a target area. It might be a 2 or 3 block area where drugs or prostitution was going on, but I never heard targeted individuals, never heard that phrase or nomenclature, never did. And the first time I become aware, well, in the mid-'80s, around 86, 87, I happened to be working with a man that was in the Marines at one time and with the CIA at one time, and his good best buddy at the next police department was, and they was talking about spooks, plumbers and leakers and all these kind of things. So they was talking around me and over my head and under my feet at times when they'd be talking. I mean, they're talking plain as day, but I didn't know what these particular words meant. I was getting a gist of it. And sometimes when I talked, this is my supervisor, sometimes when I talked to him, I said, I don't understand what this means or that means. And he said, well, it's generally on a need-to-know basis, and it's not something you need to know. He said, now, I will tell you this. He said, you got to be able to trust me because I might be your backup. And I got to trust you, you're my backup. I said, right? I said, so we don't need no miscommunications. He said, when I was in Vietnam, he said a lot of really ugly things happened there. He said, it's war. And he said basically getting at the end or very close to the end, he said, I, along with several other people, was recruited to do overseas missions. We'd gain intelligence on people. We had a lot of different methods on gaining intelligence. We would have to follow our targets by day and by night, try and gain entry to homes or businesses in foreign countries, et cetera, et cetera. And he said it stayed that way until the mid-'70s. In the mid-'70s, some of those things come home to roost in the United States. He said, now me, I thought that was unpatriotic, and I told him I wasn't having anything to do in the United States with this. And some other guys told him the same thing. And we told him we believe it was a violation of federal law, international law, and it violated certain human rights depending on what these jobs were, and we said no. As we continued to work in overseas operations, and they kept talking about their targets, but they were talking about groups of people. As a rule, there were individual people that was political in certain countries around the world, and civil wars going on, all these things. So I would hear what I would consider now to be the outer edge of a pizza, the crust on the outside. And then in 1990, then not him, but his friend told me, well, you want to get a job at a really good department and you'd like to double or triple your pay, you're good at what you do. And I said, yeah. He said, well, I know this guy, and if you call him, he's been down there with him for years. We used to work with him overseas and different stuff, and tell him I sent you. And if he says anything like, I don't know who that is, or wants to play that little game, mention this operation we worked together on, and he said, you ought to get some action then. I said, okay. Of course, he was kind of an aggressive guy. So I called this police department. I talked to him. He told me he don't know who this guy is. He don't know him from Adam's House Cat. He don't know me. He don't know what he can do for me. And I said, well, he said to mention this operation he worked on. Phone goes dead. I said, wow. Wait a little bit, called back. And so they told me he was a lieutenant, said he don't want to talk to you, and said you don't need to be calling here no more. Okay. Next day, I get to the police department, and my chief of police, who used to work narcotics for the federal government back in the 60s and 70s out in Nevada and other places, but he was in southern Nevada most of the time, in around Las Vegas, that area. When I walked in the front door, the secretary was sitting across. He grabbed me by the arm, flipped me around, and taking me back out the front door and said, we got to talk. We got to talk now. And so he took me on the side of the building. He said, man, he said, I don't freaking know who you called, and I don't know what you said. But these guys in like an all-black car, all blacked out windows, looked like a government tag on the back, all black, and said, I'm talking about not one or two of them. He said, I'm talking a carload, like 5 or 6 of them, come out and they tell me, you got this officer works for you, this is his name, da-da-da-da-da, and you need to explain to him, he don't need to call our friend. We got a lieutenant that's a friend of the police department, and he's creating problems. He don't need to call him, he don't need to mention his name, and he don't need to talk about no special operations. If he messes up, we're going to hold you responsible. Have a good day. And they left. And so he said, I don't know who it was. I don't want to know who you called. I don't want to know what it's about. I don't want to know nothing. Whatever it is, don't call him. Don't talk to nobody about him. Don't talk to somebody about this operation, etc. I said, okay. Pretty well scared me. But when the chief got scared, he was like, reinforced still. So if somebody shook him up, it had to be serious. So I rode around and I puzzled, who in the world could this be? What's going on? Oh, well, I guess whoever it was, I don't know. So the next morning, I wake up to somebody beating on my door like rolling thunder. I get up and go to the door, and I got these men in black on my front porch. There's this all blacked out, government-looking car, tinted windows, and I don't mean like a little tinted, like limo tint. And, I'd see a few little antennas on the back and stuff, and they're telling me, hey, you don't need to be talking to this lieutenant no more. And blah, 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 and said, we had a talk with your chief of police yesterday. He had to talk to you? Yeah. I said, who are you guys? That doesn't concern you. Just don't talk about this. Just don't do that stuff. And I said, who are y'all, Secret Service or something? No. I said, so y'all with the CIA or something? No. You don't need to concern yourself with that. Just it's going to be really, really, really bad for you if you mention any of this stuff again. And they said, so do we have a clear understanding? Anything other than yes is going to be a problem. I'm like half asleep, trying to think about what else going on, and they get in the car and leave, and when they left, like they just took off like a rocket. Not a rocket, but extremely fast. So I pretty well shook up. I sat down in a chair for a little bit, thought about it, and I called my friend, and I talked to him and said, hey, the police officer guy that's your buddy told me to do this, and I called, and I was talking to him, and he said, well, I got to go. You got to go? Click. I waited a minute or two, I think. So many years ago, I can't remember the exact, but then I called back, and I wound up talking to his wife who knew me, and she said, well, he grabbed his hat, he went out the door. I don't know what's going on, but you're his little buddy, and I'm sure he'll get up with you. He said, I don't know nothing else. No need to call him back. So about 12 hours later, he called me at my home. And he said, do you know where this truck stop is? Yes, I do. He said, do you need to head there? And I said, are you there? What's going on? Just go there. You know, I'll find you. Just go there. I pull in the parking lot next to the interstate, and I see these lights on this truck flash. So I head on back there. He told me where to park the car, get up in the cab. He pulls the curtains around. I see things I've never seen in my life. And he told me a lot of things, and that's a long story, so I'll just say, you know, it's some really incredible technology. And he says, we're 40 years or more advanced of anything you've ever seen. Whatever you see now, that's 40-year-old technology. Government's had their hands on it for 40 years, some longer. And this is just a portion of it. And said every year it's more and more. So he said, what I come here to tell you, I had to come talk to you in person. And so he had turned something on. I said, what's that? He said, it's a protective bubble, or worse, that effect. I said, what's that? He said, nobody can hear what we're saying in here. Nobody can see what we're doing in here. It's forward technology. Okay. He said, anyway, he said, I talked to the other guy's people. I am several pegs up the line. He said, I'm very near the top. He said, even though I don't really do this stuff anymore, he said, you know, it's kind of like blood in and blood out, but not necessarily. He said, so long as you've served well and done what you're supposed to, you're always taken care of. And I still get called for special operations in certain places. So what I say goes, so they've been told to stand down, to never come see you again, never come see your chief of police again, and you are protected for life. So he said, not till I die, but till you're dead. He said, you're good. He said, everything's taken care of, you're squared away. So nothing will befall you. Okay. So he said that guy was a wet boy. I said, well, what's a wet boy? He takes political assassinations around the world where if there was somebody that was a political enemy of the United States, he was an assassin. He'd go take them out. Well, the only safe place to put wet boys is in a police department because they can't go in the regular military no more. And that's the only place to put them because they deal with firearms and weapons, and we can keep our eye on them there because they got to go to work 5 days a week. And if anything comes unusual, any unusual behavior, then we're notified. And if we have to, we do what we have to do. And I said, well, what about your friend? Oh, we won't be talking to him no more. I said, well, what if he contacts me? He won't be contacting me. And I said, well, I hate to ask this, but, I mean, is he still with us? He said, what do you mean with us? I mean, is he still alive? He said, we don't want to get into that conversation right now. So I said, okay. And some years later, he said, well, now that you're more mature and now that you understand things and some time has passed, he said, I can tell you about our friend. He's on an island. An island, yes. He's on an island. So he served his country, so we're going to let him live out his life. But he's going to live it on this island. And there's other people on this island. Said some people that go missing, they're on that island. Said so there's food, they got electric, they live kind of, you know, reasonably how they want to there, but they can't leave the island. And said, you know, it's just people that's done good work, but they're dangerous. So it's either put them there or put them in the ground. So we put them there if all possible. So I started to find out more about targets and stuff. And as years went on, I'd hear more about it through the grapevine, and people was getting out of the military or some really high command officers at mid and high level agencies. And I knew everything, but wasn't quite connecting all the dots. And then I had a friend of mine in 2003, I believe it was. He was 112 years old. I found it hard to believe, but he had his military papers from when he was in World War I and World War II, and he had been a deacon of his church since maybe 1945 or 1946. And he had his family Bible where his birth dates and stuff was put in there. And I said, how did you live this long? He said, taking very good care of myself, a lot of water, no alcohol, no tobacco, live clean, eat whole foods, various things. And he said, I don't overdo myself. And he said, I live right. Well, he was talking to me about, he said, have you ever heard of the Philadelphia experiment? Yes, sir. He said, I knew Nikola Tesla personally. And said, when I was in the Army, not the Navy, but the Army, he said some people cross-train and cross-do this, that, and the next thing. He said, at any rate, he said, I had occasion to see him and Albert Einstein and Nobel. They were working on this experiment of invisibility. Not invisibility like you can't see them, but invisibility to radar and learning how to bend light. And they were working with the magnets and electricity and crossing them and various things. So he just, say, you wouldn't believe what they could do back then. And he says some people talk about these computers now and this thing and that thing. He said they had stuff that you're just now seeing today at the end of World War II. And said, in fact, when planes come off of certain flight lines, because they get so high in the altitude, they would get some radiation contamination. And said we had to fix industrial-grade colloidal silver. And we'd have these big tank trucks that would have to spray the plane down before the pilots could get out of it. And said, so I had to go to school to learn about colloidal silver and different grades and particles and nanoparticles. Anyway, I would talk to him quite a bit. We'd talk 30 minutes to 2 hours at a time. So he would tell me things about that and how the government worked and operated. So I'd get something from this guy, something from that guy. I start connecting dots. And then I talked to my old friend one day, and I said, seems like this all extrapolates out to the following. And he said, something like that. He said, you're definitely on the ballpark, and you definitely know a lot of things. There's some things that you don't know, but you know enough. He said, you know where it goes. Yes. So he said, that's it. And then so probably 6 months ago, 9 months ago, something like that, then I started getting some of my final pieces after all these years and said, wow, I've actually known all of this all this time, but I just lacked a few pieces putting the puzzle together. Knowing everything and having all the pieces of the puzzle, but not having them all fit together. So I'd say about 6 months ago, I got real deep, and I went to Fort Worth, Texas to meet with some people, to do some private conferences, and to go to some underground facilities and look at some things because of who they are and talk to them. And they said, most of the things you say, people are going to consider them fantastic, unbelievable. So for the most part, nobody cares what you say, because it's out of this world type of conversation. But, now if you get real specific and you start naming people's names, then you could have a problem. So I said, I said, is it the military that's targeting people, police, or a combination, or is it corporations? He said, all the above. He said, there are some millionaires in this country, he said, some probably within 15 miles of here, that actually has bought forward technology. It's crazy expensive, and there's a certain number of scientists around the world and engineers that know how to do these things. And they buy these technologies. These, what used to be considered a laser gun, not a taser, but a laser gun, and not the kind for radar, but real laser guns that would actually shoot out a beam, one you could see or couldn't see, and, literally burn a hole through somebody or through a tree. And then they have these different types of technologies. So I probably won't never know everything, but I know far more than probably the super majority of people, and I'm still learning. I'm still immersing myself. I'm still having people that contact me through alternate means, and I still meet with people. I still get the information they give me. I go talk to other people about it. Sometimes people say, hey, we want to meet you at this coordinates. And I say, okay. So I find out where those coordinates are, go there. Usually it's late at night. And, I guess maybe I should be scared, but I guess I just ain't. I just go meet wherever they want to meet. And they say, well, we thought you should know this or know that, because some people have a conscience. I would say their conscience was covered up. They somehow, some way, divided their mind, like what they were doing was like playing a video game or something. It wasn't real life, well, yet it was, but their conscience got to them, or they're getting older, and they want things to get out there. They want things to be known. Or somebody in their family, somebody very near and dear to them, become a target of somebody else. And so the government does a lot of human experimentation on people. Some medical research companies that are big pharma are involuntarily conscripting people into their medical programs. They've got doctors and pharmacists, engineers, other people that's in their pockets to do what they want them to. And so if you go tell the police, they'll say, okay, we're going to put you in a straitjacket and run you on down to the hospital and get you committed. Because for the most part, police are as dumb as a box of rocks when it comes to this stuff. They have no freaking idea. You've only got a certain limited number of police in metropolitan areas, maybe the assistant chief, a bureau chief. You may have 2 or 3 people in the entire department know something. And they're working with the technology people, and they're connected in the fusion centers with all the ABC agencies. And, you're pretty damn high up to know these things. And it don't actually mean you're doing it. You're just aware of it a lot of times. But everybody, most police departments have no clue. They're just dumb. I mean, if I went and told them myself with all my credentials, I said, well, this, that, the next thing's going on, they'd say, all right, what you been smoking? Now, they know that I'm a smart guy. I work with a lot of judges. I've worked with a lot of attorneys. I've worked with doctors throughout my life with my occupation and personal. And the average top of the streets, you just don't know. You're talking Greek to him. And if he don't understand what you're saying, then he automatically assumes it must be wrong. And so he has to label you. You know, you're on too much meds, or you're off your meds, or you're crazy, or you're delusional. Something's wrong with you. So it's almost like in our technology today, if you was talking to somebody in 1915 talking about what's going on in real life today, they would label you as crazy. And it ain't because it ain't true. It's because they don't know it. They don't understand it. And people, human nature, they get scared of things they don't understand. And cops are hyped up to believe they're in control of everything, and they're the problem resolver to everything. They're the end-all, be-all. So when they can't come to a conclusion, they're inadvertently trained to label you and compartmentalize you and put you away somewhere. You go to jail, you go to the crazy house, or you're escorted back or helped back to your own home. So they got to get you to go away somewhere. And then they write the report up the way that they see it. You know, this person was verbally combative. They made outrageous, unsubstantiated claims and was talking about various things, and we actually found somebody we could release to their custody for the safety of the community. Or we had to Baker Act them because they were a threat to themselves or the community. So that's about all I can tell you on that.
Okay, well, my show here, my call is going to be ending, so maybe everybody you're going to have to wait, everybody, until Thursday, and we'll pick it up. If that's okay with you, just doing one more hour on Thursday.
Well, I have to meet with my think tank Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time. That's an ongoing thing. I meet with them.
Okay, how about next Tuesday? Is that okay with you? Because the good stuff's coming up, and everyone can just hang on and come on back next Tuesday in regards to this, and we'll finish up. And the other thing I thought about, if people have questions for you, since I doubt we'll ever be able to get to all the questions, if you email me, I can present those questions to Mr. Jones next week. So just email me at T as in Tom, angel2016@gmail, and just let me know what questions you'd like me to ask. And I just want to say thank you for your time, and I appreciate, again, I know just from speaking with you and listening to you that you're a very decent, good man, and we just appreciate you, and we appreciate that you're on our side and that you've taken an interest and you're trying to help us. So I just want to end on that note.
Well, can I just say that my tihelpnow.com is up. I've been working on it for a couple of months, but it's up, and it's in its infancy, so there's a lot I got to do to build on there, but it is up. Okay.
Well, thank you, sir, and we'll see you next Tuesday. And everybody, tune in for Thursday. I have another guest, and for the last half hour. So thank you guys for all coming. Appreciate it. Don't forget to get your tickets and make some arrangements and come to Portland. I'm only saying that because we're having our event. Otherwise, get to some of the other events or make your own event. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, bye-bye now.